Are you tired of all of the competition with your real estate prospecting? Well, watch this video and discover why for rent by owners might be your next best move. All right, what is a for rent by owner? This is, well, exactly what it sounds like. It is somebody that is trying to rent out their home or actively renting out their home that you were going to target. Now, when we're talking about for rent by owner, we're actually kind of talking about absentee owners in general. So people that generally don't live in their home. They're trying to rent it out. So whether that's them doing it themselves as a landlord or as a company doing it for them, you can target the individual owner either way. Now, there are many reasons why you might want to go after for rent by owners. First off, for sell by owners, expired, circle prospecting not as much, but at least for sell by owners and expireds, when the market starts constricting a little bit like it's been doing lately, they get more tapped out. They are getting more phone calls from people. So this is untapped potential. And then of course, with that comes reduced competition, which will help out your conversion rate, especially if you're a little bit newer or don't have as much experience in cold calling. And generally, they're more friendly conversations. They're not expecting this. When something goes expired, everybody's hitting them up. When for sale by owner hits the market, everybody's hitting them up. They're getting bombarded. But a for rent by owner whose house has been rented for 6 months isn't getting a lot of these phone calls. And this also helps you diversify your prospecting a little bit. So it gives you another option to tap from. And lastly, and probably the biggest reason why you want to do it, is because they're extremely easy to find and they're considerably easier to convert, especially now with the market the way that it's been. Now, before we go into some of the tips and strategies and even scripts, which will be at the end of this video, and I've got a little surprise for you guys as well, so stick around to the end for that. But the 4 main ways that you can get their information is number 1 from Zillow and similar sites, Trulia, rentme.com, forrentbyowner.com. There's a ton of them out there, and you can get their contact information that way. And the second, of course, is your CRM. Most CRMs have a way to do a reverse lookup or pull out individual data from people, or of course a geo-farming tool that you can generally manipulate a little bit to pull out the homeowners that you would like. And oftentimes it even pulls out absentee owners directly, which is something that our CRM uses. So if you're using Chime, that is a great tool for that. And then you've got services like RedX and Vulcan 7. These generally will either be paired with a dialer or have an option to pull up a dialer. So if you're cold calling consistently and you're getting some business from it, these are great tools to kind of lower the amount of time that you're spending calling these folks, and it puts all of your data in one area. And then of course, depending on your strategy, you can also get all this information from your multiple listing service. Now you are going to have to spend a little bit of extra work by going through the property data or your property appraiser's website or public record, however you guys get it in your area, in order to pull out the actual owner information for where they live versus where the property is. But that gives you 2 good pieces of information that we'll talk about both here in a second. Before we get into the 5 strategies that I'm going to talk about today, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Andrew, or of course you can call me Mister Mongo, or Mongo is just fine. It's an old military nickname. But I am a real estate team leader out here in the beautiful panhandle of Florida. If you have any questions at all of my contact information is going to jump up on screen. You can call, text, email, reach out however you want. I'll also throw my social up there if you want to reach out that way. And as always, if you guys are curious about why I picked up my entire team and moved it over to beautiful LPT Realty, if that is something that might interest you, you want to see the benefits that we get, just reach out to us and I will have a conversation around that. I'm not going to do a big sales pitch. I'm just going to tell you like it is. But anyway, let's continue with the strategies. Probably the easiest one to do is to go to Zillow. Zillow's got a ton of information. Now, this one has its benefits because the information's right there and it's free, seemingly. I mean, it's going to cost you a little bit of time to sift through them, which is also the downfall. Only about 20 to 30% of the properties in most marketplaces are going to be handled by an individual landlord. When you go onto Zillow and you search for rentals in your area, let's say you're targeting a specific city, you're going to have to go through all of them to figure out which ones are with a property manager and which ones are individual landlords. Obviously, you want to be picky about which one you're contacting because you don't want to contact the property manager to see if they're interested in selling. That's not really going to do you much good because most of them are attached to a real estate company. So you're generally only going to use this for the individual landlords and reach out to them directly. Now, most of them have a phone number on there as well as a contact me button. So if they elect not to receive phone calls, which does happen, they do have a contact me button that is essentially an email that Zillow is going to play the middleman on. And of course, the second option is to direct message them through Zillow, or of course, if they happen to give away their email address, I would do that directly versus doing it through Zillow. But you can have a pre-canned message, and I'm going to have that again in the description below. Give you all of that for free. Don't worry. You're going to have to put in your email so it can email it to you, but it's all going to be free. We're not going to be spamming you with anything. I'm not selling anything or anything like that. So you can do a pre-canned message, tailor it to how you would like to speak to your people, or, just to your brokerage and your name and stuff like that, and then send that out and watch the replies come back in. For those of you that are looking for a little bit more of a passive approach, we've got a couple of options here. I'm going to first talk about mailers, and here in a little bit I'm going to talk about another passive approach that a lot of you are really going to enjoy. Now, when it comes to mailers, there are actually several different strategies, and I'm going to kind of give you a quick overview of each of these. I should be giving you enough information that you should be able to run with it, but if for any reason you guys want to see a longer video on the specifics on everything that I'm talking about, on anything, not just the mailers, go ahead and comment down below and let me know that so that I can provide that for you guys. So the first and the easiest one, if you've got a lot of money but you don't want to put a ton of time into it, is to farm them every single month. And basically create a farm that you would generally do geographically. You generally do it with the whole neighborhood, mail them once a month. You would do the exact same strategy, but you only plug in for rent by owners. Or of course, people that are renting with a management company. These are just fine because you're going to be mailing to their actual address, not the property address that is being rented out. And this one's very simple. Once a month, go into the multiple listing service, pick out everything that is rented out, cross-check that with Zillow or rentme.com or something like that, and then put them in a CSV file and start mailing them. You could do this as easy as creating a CSV file that prints out labels for you, so you can do all of these labels, do it all at once, and then you just keep adding to that CSV file every single month. Now keep in mind, after a year of farming these, you're probably going to want to either continue to mail them, which means you might be mailing to somebody that has sold their property or has since moved back into the property, so it might not make as much sense. And if you want to save a little bit of that money there, you are going to have to scrub that data every single year. So a real easy way to do this is when you save your CSV file with all the information on it, after 12 months, you scratch that one and restart, or you keep scratching one off every single month. So you do one for January, February, March, April, whatever. And then next January, you would delete that one and create a new one and then add those to your list. Now, one of my favorite strategies when it comes to mailers, it saves you a bunch of money and a little bit of time as well. You are going to have to do a little bit of back-end work to set this up in your CRM or, on your calendar or what have you, but you basically only mail them the last 3 months. Most lease agreements are 12 months long. And then after that, the tenant goes month to month. So this is a really good strategy to hit them up in their 9th, 10th, and 11th month, or 10th, 11th, and 12th, depending on kind of how you want to do it, or maybe even all 4. This strategy is super easy, especially for ones that are managed by a rental management company, because you could actually go into your multiple listing service and pick out the exact dates for 9 months ago and go, okay, cool, rentals 9 months ago, who was trying to rent out, which ones actually got rented, and then now you've got a mailing list. You don't need any other software. You don't need anything else to get their information. It's right there. You just go to the property appraiser site or wherever you get the actual data of the owner, and then you make sure that you mail the owner instead of, the tenant. That wouldn't be good. And of course, for those of you guys that are really kind of trying to stay on budget, or you just want the most impact possible with the least amount of effort, that strategy would be the one mailer strategy. Mail them on month 10 or 11, and then just simply say, hey, I noticed that you might be running out of your lease agreement. Have you considered selling? And of course, again, scripts down below. And for those of you liking to get a little bit more belly to belly or on the phone with them, another strategy is to hit them up right as soon as they market the property. So you can do this with the property manager side or the landlord side. It really doesn't matter, but you are going to have to do a little bit of work to find the contact information if they're on the landlord side. And then of course, you can always drop a mailer to them as soon as it hits the market, but this is kind of taking a little bit bigger of a risk because a lot of rentals go very quickly. I don't know what it's like in your area, but in our area, they don't generally sit all that long. So this strategy doesn't work as well for me, so I don't have specific scripts just for that, but it should be fairly simple. Hey, I noticed that you are trying to rent out this property. Have you considered selling it instead of renting it out? The market's been crazy lately. It's probably going to net you a pretty penny, something along those lines. Now with this one, you are going to send out a bunch of mailers and they're already going to be rented. But the kind of cool thing is maybe they rent it out, maybe they get a tenant in place and they still reach out to you and they go, man, I wish I would have gotten this a little bit earlier. I was kind of thinking about selling. Hey, by the way, what do you think it's worth? And then you start that conversation. And then after that, all you need to do is that beautiful follow-up word. And then that business should be yours in 11 months. Or of course, if they want to sell it with a tenant in it, there's nothing wrong with that either. Now, for those of you guys that are okay with spending a little bit of money and you want this automated, there's a ton of ways to do this. There are platforms and programs out there that you can upload your CSV file, you can upload your people into, and they'll do it every single month. Just make sure that the message is centered around for rent by owner, or, landlords in general. Your CRM might also be able to do this, so this way you can have it all in a nice little list, and a lot of the CRMs will actually skip trace the information for you so that you'll have all of the owner's contact information as well, so that when they call you from that number, you'll know exactly who it is, and it will, track all of that data for you. Now, for those of you that really want to get right to the point and have really high conversion numbers without putting a ridiculous amount of effort into something, I've got you too. Don't worry. This is going to be much higher intent, but it is going to take you a little bit longer to push each one out. And it's a popular strategy in a couple of other facets, but here and for rent by owners, it works just fine too. And that is unsolicited CMAs. So you literally draft up a CMA or use an automated tool that maybe your Chime has or something like that, print it out with a nice little resume that just says, hey, and you can either hand jam this and do it manually, which is going to have the highest effect, but it's going to cost a little bit more time. Or of course, you can do one of these automated services. I don't know if you have RPR over there or something that your CRM has. You can do that, print it out. I suggest putting a nice little resume letter in there as well. And then a handwritten note that just says, hey, listen, I know you're renting this out, but if you've ever considered selling and you don't have a real estate professional in mind, I would love to be considered. By the way, I love referrals. Sign it, nice little hand note. And then if you really want to take it super far, grab one of those cheap little wax stamp kits that you can get on Amazon. They're like $20 or something, and you can put a little wax stamp on there to ensure that they open it. Just make sure that you're handwriting everything else as well, or they're going to know it's a little bit gimmicky. And here's a little tip for you too. If you want, there's a pretty good system called Send Out Cards. You can go to sendoutcards.com. I'll have an affiliate link down below. I've never actually gotten paid from it, so I don't know really what it does, but I do have to say that I will get paid from that if you use that link. I don't know if it gives a discount or not, but here's my point. Send out cards for $99 a month, I think is what I pay. It's unlimited cards that you can send out. These are postcards. They could be tri-fold cards or bifold cards as well. You can put a custom picture on there. You can put custom writing in there, whatever you want. So as long as you're not abusing the system too much and trying to do bulk mailings out, which they don't allow, you do have to hand crunch each one of these. You can actually target each individual seller this way. Now, we'll take a little bit of time to create each one and then send it out and so on and so forth. But if you're worried about funds, this could be a pretty good method to do. You just need to make sure that you're sending out enough that you're getting your money's worth, but not abusing the system to where they cut you off. Okay, the third strategy I want to discuss is using a third-party system like RedX or Vulcan 7. I'm sure there's more out there. Those are the two that I'm familiar with. RedX is something that we continually add and take off of our business. When I get cold callers onto my team, I'll bring it back up. If for any reason they leave or maybe they decide to stop cold calling, we take it down. So you can kind of do that strategy if you just kind of want to do this on or off. Vulcan 7 is going to be mainly a dialer sort of situation. So if you're looking to just direct call them, this is a little bit more expensive, but I have heard the data is a little bit better than RedX. Sorry, RedX, just what I heard. Now, with this is going to be more direct contact prospecting, okay? So yes, you can find the addresses and stuff like that, but this is a pretty poor use of money in order to get that because there's other systems that are better. But if you're looking to call, text, email, and even voicemail drop, then this is a really good way to get all of their information super quickly so you can get in, get your prospecting done, and then get back to whatever you've got to do. So for those of you that like cold calling, this is a great strategy because voice-to-voice is going to be way more effective than the other methods that we just mentioned. So with this, you have the obvious direct phone call. Very similar strategy. Again, scripts down below. I'm not going to go into that because we're limited on time. The second way you can use this is by dropping text to these people. Then, of course, you've got emails for the ones that have provided emails, and then, of course, voicemail. My personal suggestion is you should do all of them every single time. If you call and nobody answers, you should leave a voicemail. Then you should follow it up with a text and an email. Now, if they do answer, don't call back to leave a voicemail. That would be silly. But hitting all four of these, make sure that you're hitting their communication style. Yes, you're going to frustrate some people and they're going to email you back and be like, take me off your list. Okay, so what? If you're already cold calling, you're probably used to rejection, so this isn't going to be that big of a deal. And with the voicemails, this makes it really easy. I don't know if Vulcan 7 has this, I assume it does, but I know at least RedX has a voicemail drop that you can pre-record for every calling session. So you can already have your script ready to go. Now, if you want to do a custom one each time to kind of increase conversion, you can do that, but I really think it's more of a numbers game at this point, and just using the custom voicemail drop, it's going to automatically drop it and you're dialing off to the next one. You don't have to sit there and waste time saying what you need to say. The next two strategies I'm going to go over are going to be the more passive strategies. That means these are going to be lower intent. You're not going to get as high of a conversion rate. But for those of you that might be like a more introverted personality that don't like the rejection near as much, for those of you that know the disc, my high S's and C's in the room, these strategies are going to be very, very strong for you. And you can push a ton of it out with very minimal effort. So you don't even have to make this a main pillar of your business. This could just be what I call a lion in the water. You just sort of do it. It doesn't take too much time and it happens passively in the background. So check this out. The first one of the two main passive ones I want to talk about, outside of the mailers, which I guess are technically passive too, is digital ads. So you can actually take all of this information from any of the other data sources that I've given you already, and you can put it all into a nice, beautiful Excel file or CSV file, right? Then you take that, and the easiest way to do this is to upload it right into Facebook. You can actually upload an entire database right into Facebook and then run ads through Facebook that target those people. You're going to have your phone number and your email in there. Facebook's going to know how to find those, and then you can do dedicated ad flow just to these folks. Keep in mind that Facebook does have a minimum amount per day that you need to spend in order to do these ads. But if you were on a budget or something, you can do them for a week, stop them for a few weeks, do them for a week again. It'll just cost a little bit more sweat equity than it will money. What's really cool with this one is you can keep changing your message until you figure out something that works, and Facebook allows you to A/B split test. So you can try this picture over here, this wording over here. You can try this video. You can do 6 different videos and see 6 different photos and see which one works best. And then continually refine your message until your phone is going off the hook. Now, I do suggest that if you are using digital ads through Facebook, that you use the lead form version. That is the most effective on Facebook right now. That is the one where they actually click and they fill out a lead form right there. They don't have to leave the site. And I think that's why it's a little bit more productive to do it that way, because Facebook doesn't want people leaving their website. So if you take them to a landing page or something, I believe, it seems to me anyway, that the conversion rates are a little bit lower, or the click-through rate is a little bit lower, the people that actually click through and go to your landing page. Whereas right there on the auto fill-in thing, it fills it in automatically for them. So you're most likely getting accurate information as long as their information on Facebook is accurate, and they just submit it in and move on with their day. And also, if you're doing the digital ads, make sure you are updating these monthly. So I suggest you throw it in your calendar or throw it in your CRM for once a month to gather all that information again, add it to the CSV file, and then continue on. And make sure you scrub it once a year for anybody else that might have sold their property. Now, there are 2 more passive little strategies I want to go over before I go over some miscellaneous stuff that you're not going to want to miss. So the first one is very simply put. In your CRM, you should have a home report of some sort, or a market snapshot, or, they name them all sorts of things in these CRMs, but basically giving a home value report to your person. So now take the entire list through one of those sources that I said that you can get all of their information and plug it right into your CRM as an entire thing, hashtag it or segment it however you want, and then throw those on there automatically. Now, there's a good chance these will go in spam, and maybe they see it, maybe they don't. This is an extremely easy passive way to just sort of stay in somebody's inbox for a long time. They keep seeing these reports, maybe they email you back from it. And then from there, kind of keep moving. Another really good strategy for this is to use homebot.ai. This is a tool that we use here on our team. I think it's a little bit more effective than using something from a CRM, and it's very inexpensive. It's $25 as of the time of shooting this. I don't know if they're going to change it or not. And you can get your lender to pay for it completely. It was originally created as a lender tool, I believe, and it is intended to keep the client up to date on their property. And to me, it's a little bit more accurate. I keep multiple of my rental properties on there, and once a year, give or take, I'm bored, I'm sitting around, and I run a CMA on one of my properties, and it's always been fairly accurate. What I like about HomeBot over the other ones is that you get better notifications for what they're doing, and it's more accurate, so that's obviously very important. But it's mainly the notifications. So right there in the dashboard on HomeBot, it'll tell you if somebody looked at the email, if somebody opened the email, if somebody clicked in the email, if somebody clicked around inside of the email, and if somebody asked for an update on your CMA. So if you've taken all of that information and plugged it in a HomeBot, you've got all their contact information right there. So if you see that landlord number 426 has opened up and clicked around and messed with the pricing on their property, this might be a really great time to reach out to them and just say, hey, I've been sending you these kind of home reports for your property for a while. I just wanted to check in and see if if you had any questions on any of those. Now, you don't generally want to say, hey, I got your information from this and I've been sending you all of these and I noticed that you've been in there clicking it, because it's going to sound a little bit stalky and we don't want to sound like that, right? But by just kind of randomly throwing it out there, they might go, hey, that's so weird. I was just looking at it. Yeah, I do have some questions. What if I sold right now? Bingo. Another super easy passive way to do this is gather all your information, plug it into your CRM, and then create a text and voicemail drop campaign all around this. And for those of you that use BombBomb videos, this is another great way to use BombBomb. You can plug them right into BombBomb, then drop video messages right to them. Now, I want to get into some very miscellaneous sort of tips that I wasn't able to find anywhere inside of the video to put them comfortably. The first of which is turning investors into buyers. Right now, everything sounded like we're trying to get a listing out of this. And although that is the main strategy, because list to last, listings are king, whatever weird cliche you want to hear about or you want to say about listings, all of that's accurate. But if they're very happy with the rental, don't be afraid to turn that conversation into, well, if you're happy with that rental, would you like another one? Because we've got some in our marketplace that rent out very well. Now you're turning them into a buyer, and pretty soon, if you do everything right, you give them a good property, they might use you to keep buying more and more and more. And now you've got a nice investor in your hip pocket. Another conversation to kind of move that to is maybe they don't just want to buy another. Maybe you talk to them, you use that strategy, say, okay, great. Would you like to buy another? Would you like to keep adding to your rental portfolio? And they'll go, yeah, I really would, but we don't really have the money for the down payment and stuff like that. Now, I know there are down payment programs that might be able to assist with this kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into that section, but you can maneuver that conversation a little bit more to go, you want to know what I'm seeing our savvy investors doing right now? They're selling one rental and they're picking up two. Now, a lot of times with the interest rates and stuff right now, they might not be able to make more money than they were, but they can almost certainly make the exact same amount of money. And now they have two properties that are gaining equity twice as fast. And when they sell it, they will make twice as much money. So this is another great little way to kind of maneuver the conversation. And one that I didn't talk about at all in this video that is wildly overlooked on is the actual renters themselves. You have that absentee owner list. You'll have this landlord list, this ones that are managed by a property manager. You have this big list. You can send them mailers as well, or call them, or what have you. And then you're actually trying to convert a renter into a borrower or a buyer, which is also another good strategy. Now, this strategy is generally going to involve a little bit more work because a lot of these folks aren't going to be able to purchase. A lot of them want to purchase, but they can't for either down payment purposes, credit purposes, what have you. So a lot of these conversations are going to go that way. But if you've got a really good lender that can help them with their credit, that can help get them in that direction that they want to go to purchase a home, then these conversations are very easy to have because most renters do want to purchase. You're not going to get a whole lot of objection during this portion. There will be some that, the American dream is dead, or, I hate owning, or I want to be mobile. There's going to be some of that, but for the most part, they're not going to be upset and angry with you. And of course, for those of you that have a property management company, or maybe you get referrals from a property management company, all of those other ones that come in that are like, no, I'm good, I'm managing it myself, and it's kind of a headache, but I still like it. You can always push them to your property manager, or if you have that as an ancillary business, or you manage them yourself, you can always have that conversation also. Oh, and don't forget, I was kind of talking a little bit earlier about putting them into your CRM for stuff. Don't forget to put these people into your CRM if you're trying to maintain regular contact. That's just probably didn't need to be said, but I'm just going to say it because I know how sometimes we forget that stuff. And don't be afraid to turn the conversation into you being an advisor versus a salesperson. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, you don't have to just go for the listing. You don't have to just go for the investor that's going to buy another property, what have you. If everything else seems fine, or you see a problem in their marketing, maybe they don't have enough pictures, maybe their rent's a little low, and you're going, hey, I actually think this can go a little bit higher. This can really help out, especially if you're contacting people that are part of a property management company. Sometimes property management companies don't look at all of the numbers to make sure that they're still getting the best by their client. And some of them don't even raise the rent every single year, so you can have a tenant in there for 8 years paying $1,000 a month in an area that should be $1,500. Just that little bit of information right there will build that rapport extremely quickly for them to go, well, shoot, when I'm selling, I'm using you. You helped me out and you didn't need to. This didn't do anything for you. Thank you. Those are the main tips and tricks I have around for rent by owners in general. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you would like a longer video on any of the topics in which we hit, you really want me to deep dive them, please put them in the comment section down below so that I know that would be helpful for you guys. For me, this would be enough information to be able to just run with it, but it might not be for everybody. So if you want to see something more than that, let me know. And as always, if you made it this far, clearly you got some sort of value, so please hit that like button, help me spread the word a little bit. I'm not selling you guys anything, I'm not doing anything like that, so the only thing that I'm asking from you is just let other people know about me. That's all I've got for you guys this week. I will see you guys next week.